Okay, so here I have my lines of longitude, and there are, I started out with 8 sections, and then I broke 8 sections up into 3 sections. And so once I have that, my North Pole, my South Pole, I'm looking at putting my equator. So I just put a ribbon there to where it's in the middle so that the equator would be halfway. So now I'm going to draw that line. So the way I made this little measuring tape, it's a homemade measuring tape, is that it starts at 0 and then it goes to 15 degrees, 30, 45, 60, 75, and then it ends at 90. And then the in-between degrees, I needed to mark out 23.5 where the Tropic of Cancer is going to go in the northern hemisphere. And then I needed to mark out 66.5 degrees where the Arctic Circle is going to go in the northern hemisphere. So I'm going to make little marks all the way around. Now on the other side of my globe, it doesn't line up as well because it's not completely perfect. So my Arctic Circle may be a little big here. And then I can also turn it when I go to my southern hemisphere and use it the same way to go south, and also to put the Tropic of Capricorn and to put the Antarctic Circle here. Okay, so here I have the markings where I want them. I started 0 at the equator, 15, 30, 45, 60, 75 degrees. And then I put a little blue mark at 23.5 north and at 66.5 degrees north. So the 90 degrees didn't always make it up here, so we may have a little bit of extra room. And the Arctic Circle. And then I'm going to do the same for the southern hemisphere and just go and put south. But you see, I'm just now going to connect all these marks here. So here I've marked my equator in green, and then I've connected all my latitude lines. So that I labeled this 15 degrees north, 30 degrees north, 45 degrees north, 60 degrees north, and 75 degrees north. This would be 90 here. Next, remember those little blue lines that I made? This is going to be Tropic of Cancer, and this is going to be the Arctic Circle, so I'm just going to connect those next. So now I have my 23.5 degree north line of latitude, which is going to be the Tropic of Cancer. And then I have my 66.5 degree north. See, here's 60. There's about 66.5. That's going to be my Arctic Circle. Now I'm going to do the same thing in the southern hemisphere, but I'm going to go to 15 degrees south, 30, and so on. Here we have labeled our southern hemisphere, 15, 30, 45, 60, 75 degrees south. We have the Tropic of Capricorn at 23.5 degrees south, and we have the Antarctic Circle at 66.5 degrees south. So now we can start labeling our lines of longitude to see how those go. Okay, so we can start anywhere and put the 0, and then we go 15, 30, 45, we start going west. If we go to the left, we're going west, and then we get, adding 15, we get to 180, and then we're gonna go back to our 0, and then we're going to start doing east, 15, 30, 45, 60, 75, 90, 105, 120, 135, 150, 165, and we should meet up right here at 180, which does not have an east or west because it's just 180, and at the same time 0 does not have east or west. So we've labeled our southern hemisphere latitude, all of our longitude, and we're ready to put on our continents. Okay, now it's time to put on our continent. So here we have our North America, and notice when I cut it out, here's the 90 degrees west line, here's the 30 degrees north line. So I have to find 90 degrees west. Okay, here's 75, here's 90 degrees west, and put that right there on that line. And then at the same time, I need to put 30 degrees north right here on 30 degrees north. And there it is. So when I put the 90 degrees west and 30 degrees north line on, everything else should line up. Here's 15 degrees north. Here's 105 degrees west. There it is. There's 120 degrees west. There's 30 degrees north. So I'll have to turn this a little bit so that it's a little bit higher. Get that right. Then over here I have 75 degrees north, which that's what that line is, and then I have 150 degrees west. It's over there. So now I know that my North American continent is in the right place, and I can trace it or tape it down. Okay, so I have cut out my South America. I lined up my 60 degree west line. It's here on 60 degrees west. My equator line is here on the equator. 15 degrees south is lined up. And the rest of these don't really match up, but I do have 60 degrees west lined up here. So this is where I'm going to tape this all down. Hooked up to the North America and Central America. So here I've taken off the continents and I've colored them, and then I put them back on. And here's how I did Africa and Europe. Is I lined up the equator, and then you see here's the 15 degrees south line. Here's the 30 degrees south line. These lined up. This is 30 degrees east. That really lined up well. And here we have 15 degrees east. That also lined up very well. 15 degrees west. It's a little bit off. Here's 30 degrees north. Here's the actual 30 degree north line, so that's a little bit off. And here's 45 degrees north. And the most important thing right here is this prime meridian 0 through England. And this is the 0 line going down here. You see it's the 0 prime meridian. And that lined up. And over here, I'm going to connect next India. So I didn't finish that. This is the Caspian Sea. So I cut that out. Here you have the Mediterranean. Sweden, Norway up here. More towards the Arctic Circle. So that's where we are so far. Okay, so here you have Africa, and then notice I did India here and colored this China, and then I put 105 degrees east is right here. And this is 15 degrees north. I have my equator line. I have 135 degrees east here. I have 15 degrees south, this line, 30 degrees south, that lines up. 45 degrees south also lines up. Then I went ahead and put Antarctica in there. And then this is the 0 line. You can see it goes 0, prime meridian. On this side is 180, and then I have 90 degrees west over here, and 90 degrees east over here, and then I have Antarctica. So now I have everything down on here. Probably should add a little bit more up here to Russia and connect this a little bit better. This I need to cut out because this part's water. But there you have it. Now I just have to glue it all down. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this all down, and I'm going to take off all the labels now that I know that they're all in the right spot. Then it'll be all together. I'm also going to put some more paper up here for Russia since I ran out of paper up there. So now I took off all those little extra guidelines. I just cut them off, and I cut the details in. I also added this upper piece for Russia. It's very close here to Alaska. And cut these things out. So now I'm ready to glue everything down. So I've finished gluing everything down and taking off all the extra pieces. And so here's what it looks like. Here's Antarctica. There's the Arctic Circle. at 66.5 degrees north. Here is the Tropic of Cancer at 23.5 degrees north. Here's the Tropic of Capricorn at 23.5 degrees south, and here is the Antarctic Circle at 66.5 degrees south. And so we have our proportional model of our moon. And so what happens is, for the seasons, we have this tilt, and the sun in the summer will shine directly on this, not on the equator, but on this Tropic of Cancer, and that's why we have summer in the northern hemisphere at that time, and we have longer days, because you see when the earth is spinning, more of it is getting sunlight. And here in the southern hemisphere, they have shorter days. That's when they have their winter. So when you come around to the other side, and all of a sudden now the sun is on the other side, because the earth is revolving around the sun. And then you see that the sun is directly hitting this Tropic of Capricorn, and so you have summer over here, and then you have less sunlight hitting us here, and then you have up here in the Arctic Circle, you have almost no sunlight, so you have almost 24 hours of darkness, where the sun never really comes up. And then in the summer, if you're over here, the sun was over here, then the sun would never really set. So even though we have the equator here, because of the tilt, that's why we have seasons. And when we're in the spring and the fall, then the sun is shining directly on the equator, and that's when it just switches, and then you have pretty much even length of days and nights. So if we look at here, we are in Georgia. It looks like we're a little bit north of 30 degrees, and since this is 30, 45, 60, 75, we're a little between 75 and 90, so we're between 30 and 45 north, and between 75 and 90 degrees west here where we are in Georgia. So I hope you enjoyed this project, and I hope that this will be able to help you teach about the seasons, the days, and about longitude and latitude. Okay, bye-bye.